morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am Brother Minister Raheem Cassette-Otten, and we're here at the Bach Business Center, going live on Facebook today. Brothers and sisters, if you've heard us in the past, you will know that we are an all-inclusive, black conscious, righteous movement dedicated to black people here in urban America first and throughout the world. We will continue, as we have since 1990, warning our people, delivering our people, sharing information with our people as to our condition and how to get out of it, and reconnecting our people back to our God, the oneness of that God. And today, as we will be doing every, I believe, second and fourth Sunday, we will be introducing some of our people, speakers. I don't like to use the term millennial. I don't like to use the term baby boomers. I don't like to use the term Generation X. I don't like to use those terms because they were not created by black people, those terms. We say black power. Let them hear us say black power. Come on, y'all. Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
We say black power because we know that the defining principle of black power is the power to define, the power to develop, and the power to defend that which is in the best interest of black people. And so as often as we can, if we can get out of the Europeans' defining or definition of what they want to place on us that they have placed on their own, we don't have to accept those terms. Now, it's okay if they want to call their people baby boomers. It's okay if they want to call their people Generation X and call their people millennials and all of that. But black people are in such a condition in America right now that we are so divided that we don't want to continue to further divide us by those titles. And so we may slip and use the term millennial because they're still using it. And we'll say it so that they will recognize themselves in that category. But once we get them in, we're going to let them know how we truly feel about that. But if we have to say that name to get them to come and be recognized, I just want black millennials to know that we got to try our best to work hard and erase those dividing lines that divide us. We already being divided by religion. We already being divided by so-called imaginary game turf. We're already being separated and divided by our common enemy, the Caucasian. We're already being divided in our households by color, light skin and dark skin. Come on, tell the truth, somebody. You know I'm telling the truth. You would think that it would be gone by now, but it's not. Because even in the corporate world, they still look at drawing closer to hiring the lighter over the darker. Am I right? Yeah. So if it's not gone and it has not been eliminated, then we must still bring it to the surface or it'll get buried, meanwhile still operating in the midst of it. So one of the things that this movement does is bring to light those things that have been put to sleep. Yes. That's why we're here. And in order for us to remain, we started in 1990, and if it's going to continue to help others, and there are many who have come through this movement, even if they stop through to say hi. There have been many who came through this movement. I was just looking back at pictures. How when we started, we were meeting in white institutions. We were having our banquet at the Chicago Hilton. Congress Ballroom, something like that. Downtown edifice, we had our annual Black Heritage Banquet there. We started there. Then as we began to learn of other places, we went on to have it at the Salam restaurant. I saw pictures of us at the Salam restaurant. I believe maybe 2 to 3 times we had our banquet at the Salam restaurant. And somewhere in there we met Dr. Webb Evans, and we even got blacker. We were black then. We were coming into our blackness as we grew and we evolved. And then we ran into Dr. Webb Evans, and we just got a little bit blacker. He said, we got to stop having our banquets at all these different woods and Beverly Woods and other woods, and we got to have our own banquet. But today I'd like to announce that the Beverly Woods that Dr. Webb Evans talked about is now owned by a black man by the name of Mr. G. Give it up for Mr. G. Y'all know Mr. G. He had a club on 87th Street called Mr. G.
Right.
And so now he owns the Beverly Woods, and his children, brothers and sisters, are running it.
Okay.
See, and that's another thing. He's passing it down. That's what we're teaching. In order to sustain black business, it has to be generational. And if you don't have any children that you feel might be worthy of it, then you got to be like S.B. Fuller. He reached inside of his own group of people and bought out Dudley, Joe Dudley, to move it on and to keep it going. So that's the mindset that we have to develop. And then we say in the TOMA that we are not to repeat the mistakes of the past messengers who came before us. And every messenger of God is not written in the Bible. Every messenger of God is not written in the Holy Quran, because those books have not been revised and updated in the 20th century to include some of our messengers like the Honorable Martin Luther King, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and my man, the Honorable Nat Turner. It don't include them. It don't include sisters like the Honorable, who I say, Maxine Waters. You have to get her before she slipped. The Honorable, come on, y'all. I got to get her in before she slipped, you know what I mean, right? Because, you know, we only go so far, and then, you know, like the Holy Quran say, don't beat them up once they break their leg halfway in the water. You got to help them get on shore and still, you know, call their name for the work that they did. But we got to go back to our sister, you know, the Honorable Harriet Tubman. Y'all love her? Give her a hand. Come on! And I'm sure they're working together up in heaven, wherever that is, to try to keep that in place too, to kind of make sure that there ain't no hanky-panky going on. Is that right?
Yeah.
I said wherever that is, right?
Yeah.
Didn't I say that right? Okay. So, in keeping up with making sure that if this movement was in place to help others, will it still be sustained to help others after I'm gone? To help others after our elders of this movement are gone? And they say that the longevity of a movement can be told as far as how long it'll go based on its youth. If there are no youth in your movement, then you don't have to ask the question, how long will that movement be around? You'll know. And so in this movement, we're now looking at our youth. See, we can say that. We don't have to put no line in, call them millennials and all that crap.
Thank you.
I even heard they got a new one for the younger ones than that, calling them Generation Z. I'm like, my God, the Z Nation. Like I've been seeing the Zillennials. The last Z Nation I saw was a bunch of living dead people running around biting folks. So that's a new group. But I say our youth. And so what you're going to start seeing next month, Facebook family, is on the 2nd and 4th, we're going to be introducing some of our younger people, opening up and speaking and bringing to you the information that the TOMA Nation has been bringing for the last 27 years. And the only reason why we still bringing the same message because ain't nothing changed. I say that's the only reason. You don't just keep going and ain't nothing changed. You have to keep on recycling this until there's an actual change. And we're going to continue to address things on a political level, on a social level, and every other level that we can find that our black people happen to be walking into. We're going to address that. And we're going to work hard to warn our people. And so on that note, that's why you've been hearing from a young man. We say minister in training. But really, the main thing that we know that is the most important on this podium is that you've been called by the Creator. That's the most important. And some of y'all don't get upset if you don't know you've been called by the Creator. God don't leave you hanging. If I call you up here, then you're being called by the Creator. All right? Because the Holy Quran says, obey Allah and who?
His messenger.
And His messenger. You can't have one without the other. So if there's a call out to you and you don't understand it yet, obey until understanding comes. Is that what the Holy Quran says? Is that what the Holy Bible says? And so that if I call you to this podium, you've been called. Can you say it any better than that? So ain't no more excuses now, is it? If I call India up here, uh-oh. If I call Khalil up here, uh-oh. You've been called. I'll leave the choosing up to God. I'll call. So, we're going to be calling some of our youth to the podium to say some words after you get a good helping of Brother Tahaka in Facebook land. See, y'all got to understand. I want y'all to understand this, even in Facebook land. I always say Facebook land. We're going to go to YouTube and every other one real soon. But I might be smiling and I might be saying it a little in a comical way. But I'm really serious about this thing. And the seriousness of it is this. I don't want anybody to come up here just because they like to speak. I mean, you can. That could be a prerequisite. You like it. But I don't want that to be the reason. I want you to come up here because you see a dire need, D-I-R-E, for our brothers and sisters to know the truth. That's why I want you to be up here. And you feel in your heart that you got something to say to our people that's going to help deliver them out of their condition. Out of their condition in their home, out of their condition in the street, out of their condition in the gangs, out of their condition wherever they are in North America, in these urban cities, just basically dying and don't know it. You know, you can be the walking dead and don't even know it. Basically dying and don't know it. So you want to get up here because God woke you up. You want to get up here because God showed you something. You want to get up here because God been revealing things to you. You want to get up here and tell what God revealed to you to the world, because He don't tell you these things to walk around and don't say nothing. You got to prove to the world who are trying to snuff out God's messengers that we're still here. God still speaks to us, and God still speaks through us to His people. And what is He saying? Come out of her. Come out of her, my people. Why? Because Babylon the Great has fallen. And has become a habitation of devils and a cage of all the vilest birds that you ever can imagine, like vultures and crows. Just caulking, not talking, just caulking. You know that's what they say. That's what crows do, right? You have a lot of people up on the podium caulking. We got to call you out. I have to let you know before that when you see somebody on our podium, we ain't caulking. We're being led by God to warn our people, to lift our people up, to share with our people the things to bring them out of their condition, no matter where we find them, letting them know that they can do better than where they stopped at. Because there are some people that feel stuck. I know. I've been there. That's how I know. There are some people who say, I've gone as far as I can go. I need a little helping hand. They got to know that they have one. They got to know that there is somebody here to help. And we help you first if you're willing to help yourself. We're not going to help you and reach out to you and you drawing back. I want to say this. Somebody said to me, Brother Minister, I thought that you're supposed to go back out and find your lost sheep because they're lost. Because they heard me say, I don't go chasing people down. They said, I thought you go by the Bible, Brother Minister. It says that if you got 99, if you had 100 sheep and one was missing, you went to find that one lost sheep. And I had to ponder over that for a while. Because I don't want to go against the word. I don't want to do opposite of what the Creator said do and finding our lost sheep. So I had to go into the character of the sheep so I could know who was lost. Uh-oh. I didn't want to make the mistake and be looking for the lost wolf in sheep clothing. Y'all didn't know you got them out there. So I had to go into the defining character of a sheep. I believe that when a lost sheep hear the voice of the shepherd, his little tail start wagging. He get all jumpy and happy because he's found. And if he's behind a rock somewhere, he run out to meet his master halfway and jump right all into his lap, don't he? Because he's a lost sheep. The lost wolf hear the voice of the master, and he seemed like he getting closer, and he braced himself, and he looked around for another hiding spot. And when he looked like the shepherd getting close, he run to the other spot to get out the way so he can't be found. And the louder that the shepherd hollered, the more that this wolf in sheep clothing get to running. And if the shepherd got to keep looking and looking and looking, and then when he finally grabbed him, he bit him and kicked him and tried to get away and you dropped him and say, man, and when you dropped him, he didn't jump back in your lap, he ran some more. Oh, no, 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 no. That is not a sheep. I'm just telling it like it is. In your congregation, that's not a sheep. Jesus said, I ain't talking to all y'all. Those who hear my voice hardens not their heart, and they follow me. That's a sheep again, y'all. Don't feel bad because they say sheep. Call me a sheep. That's just symbolic. It's talking about a nature. that you have that defines you different from the world. And so, if there is any individual that leave our fold and wants to come back, and I reach out to them, and they let the phone ring on and don't answer it, I'm going to do like the words say. I'll try 3 times. After the 3rd one, and I haven't gotten a response from you, you ain't the sheep. Sorry. If I see you in the public, and I speak to you, and you look the other way, you ain't the sheep. I'm sorry. I ain't chasing you down. You're going to be like the sheep that I described. When you see me, you get happy. That's right. You're glad to see me. You don't brace yourself and wonder what am I going to say. Am I going to ask you to come back? Hell no. Sorry. Now, I know y'all don't like this kind of talking because it hurts you to tell the truth sometimes, but I'm doing my job because the Bible said that the truth is like a double-edged sword and it cuts to the marrow of the bone. And you must tell it like it is. I love you. I love every one of my people. But I got to differentiate who we talking about sometimes. And if the Bible spoke of a lost sheep, then we got to find out the defining principle of that. And so as we move forward, even the Creator, God, wants all of us to be saved. I mean, all of us. Even Jesus said, many times I long and cry and want to gather you under my wings. Y'all ever see that in the Bible? He had said that to the children of Israel. But he even went on to say, but you all continue to run far from me. He said, they speak well of me, but what? Their heart is far from me. So he went through that too. So we got to wake our brothers up. We got to wake our sisters up to the truth. And don't forget, you in a movement that has helped so many people who have not been like that. So many. And we said from the very beginning of this movement that if this movement was instrumental in getting you out of a condition that you found yourself in, and you were saved, that's what saving is. From that condition, that you would think of it as an institution that should be around for your children and your children's children, because if it helped you, somebody else might be in that same condition and might need that help. And this institution should be here. And if it was good enough for you,
come on, man,
then it should be good enough for them.
that's right.
And so then you would give back. Yes, I'm talking about in coins. I'm talking about in dineros. Because that's what it takes to keep these things going. I ain't say give it to me. I don't want your money. But the movement needs your money. If it helped you, if it's going to be around to help somebody else, then you need to give back to it in order that it'll be around forever. And that is my truth for now. I said I wasn't going to get up here and talk much because I really used these lungs pretty good this weekend playing that saxophone. Yes, I'm a musician.
You're going to tag everybody you talk to.
And these lungs had suffered a little trial in the past of sarcoidosis. And they say they don't know the cause or the cure for it. And the Creator said, well, I know the cure because anything that's impossible becomes possible with God. He let you do the possible. And so he cured me, but he ain't give me another set. Did y'all get that? You know, he didn't just say, go over here and buy these lungs. They're brand new, fresh off the conveyor belt, and try these. And, he gave me the same lungs. And so you have to treat them like they've been through something. And they've been through the rain and the storm. They've been through hard trial and tribulation, but they made it on over. A song called How I Got Over. Y'all never heard that before. It's a gospel song. And so I made it, but I still got them, and I need to treat them like they've been through something. They had asthma, they had bronchial asthma, then they had sarcoidosis. And so I have to treat them like that. So I'm going to be quiet. You just notice my voice got calm. Yeah, I'm going to be quiet. And since my friend the scribe came in, do we have time?
After me.
He going to do it
After
after?
me.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. So the scribe is here. You know, scribe, and the root word of scribe is scribos, meaning script writer. And in the Bible, they mention the scribes. And a lot of people don't know the depth of who the scribes were then and who they are today. Today it would be considered your medium. Yeah, it would be the medium.
Yes, sir.
The news, social media too.
Yes, sir.
I just want you to understand the bigness of that term today and what it was then. So the scribes were the ones who kept the news going among Jesus' time, and whatever was going on, good news or bad news, they were the ones who interpreted it and told it and made sure the public knew about it. So today we have a scribe that's going to say a few words to you too a little bit later on. So that means that those who do spoken word are scribes also. Yeah. So I'm going to share that. Look, I'm going to bring this young man up. He's going to say whatever the Creator told him to say, and if he changed what he told me the Creator told him to say from yesterday to today, I had to let some space go there.
You put that all the way in the beginning.
Well, he told me what the Creator told him to say, so I just thought I'd say,
It's on the line.
And I do have a Creator talking to a person monitor in my pocket. And so I'll pull it out to see if that's the Creator. Done changed it.
My own point today. That young man got all your swords sharp.
God bless him. He's a young man that's pretty wise. God, you talk to him and through him. And I had to share with him, the part about being human and also being led by God, because sometimes you'll beat yourself up because your humanness shows when you know that you called by God. God works through you and speaks through you. And so you have to, kind of, begin to understand the difference. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and please welcome to this podium an up-and-coming young man, youth minister in training, but yet being led by God. Put your hands together to go. Let's give him the reason why we're here.
Present arms. Order arms. Original salute.
Black
power. Original salute.
Black
power. Original salute.
Black
power. As you were.
Peace, peace. In the name of the everlasting Father, he that causes all to exist, and he that is self-existent, he who directs the sonship for millions of years, and he who made time the seed of the universe, known among the ancient Kemites as Amaran Aten, among the ancient Hebrews as Ansaf Elohim, and let me just stop playing myself, slow down, right? And Elohim, among the Christians is Lord as God, as Christians is Lord God and Jehovah, among the Muslims and Islamic world as Allah, the one God. Among the Rastafarians is Jah Rastafari, among the Ifa and Yoruba tribes as Odumaru and Obatula. I bear witness that all these names, said and unsaid, refer to the same one Almighty God, and it is to him who I give reverence, and it is to him who I submit. I boldly proclaim that we, the descendants of those black men and women who survived the transatlantic slave trade, are the lost 13th tribe born in North America and are of a Nubian Kemetic lineage. I bear witness that the blood of all the nations of the earth flows through our veins, and I greet you in ancient holy words of peace As Hotep,
Hotep.
Shalom.
Shalom Aleichem.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Habaragani.
Jacob Sante Bagani.
Alafia.
Lafi Duke.
And Ashe.
Ashe.
Welcome and welcome out those in Facebook land and the members of the Temple of Mercy Association. Again, my name is Brother Taharka J. Shakur. The J fluctuate, as you guys know, from Justice and Jaja. We are broadcasting live from the Bach Bear Center located at 644 East 79th Street. And in the Temple, we are all righteous, inclusive organization for black people led by our founder, Minister Raheem Kasset Aten, and the co-leadership of Minister Omari Jahi Aten and our First Lady, Sister Makita Aten. So as Minister mentioned, we was having a very interesting conversation, and the title of my lecture will do with the destruction of black economics and the government involvement. We're going really deeply into that. I'll start off with, we was having a conversation with a brother on the block yesterday. Our block threw a little block party, but more of a fun day celebrating the life of a very young man who had the light of God on him and was very helpful in the community. It was sometimes where he would feed the children with the food out of his own home, and the family would wonder where the food went. And so they were celebrating his life and just the light that he shined. And so I want to speak about the different roles that God places in us when it comes to being beneficial for our people. Me and Minister, as many of us, we all watch different Netflix shows. One of the Netflix shows that me and Minister have been watching currently together, I finished it a long time ago before him, was the Shannara Chronicles. And one thing that really stood out to me is in that show, one of the main characters, he was continually running away from his destiny. He was repeatedly shown it, and all the other characters around him was like, he can't run from it, but he kept on trying to run from it. And at the end of it, he finally accepted it without fully still accepting it. So that just goes into sometimes we have been called by the Creator to do a certain thing, but then we run away. Some of us are called to be a sacrifice. As the young man, at a very young age, he told his mother that he wasn't going to live to see 18, and he knew it was not because of the gang violence or him being a part of the gangs or anything, because he was not at the age. He just felt like the Creator only told him that that's as far as he was going to go. But then more specifically, being in a conscious community, being around, let's say, educated blacks, we forget that the laymen or the common folks don't know certain things, and they're just not privy to certain knowledge that we would see as common knowledge. So the conversation we ended up having with the gentleman, he was just telling us about how he came through, how at a very young age, as many of our brothers and sisters are caught in, get stuck in the streets. And then they live the street life, never really knowing what a job is, never really having a proper education, and then going through life with the drugs, with the gang violence, becoming a leader that way. And so when they get to a certain age, it becomes lost. Where he was telling us that when he finally got out of jail, after going 3 times, after getting shot a couple times, that he finally came into an awareness of this, he can do better. After 8 years or so of him still hustling, but not hustling negative things such as drugs and contraband, but just clothes. He was driving a friend's truck and envelopes failed, and he read something and it opened his mind up that a job can pay as much money as he was making in the streets. And the main point in that is when he went to the person and asked for a job, the person said, "Do you have a resume?" Right? And he said, "What's a resume?" Right. So we come to now think that things that we think are common, as being Minister discussed later, that there's a lot of people who didn't know what an alderman is, or what a committeeman is, or what is the role of the president for real, or the different branches of government, things that we learn in school, but even some people who go through the public school system sometimes tend to forget. So we have to really think about when it comes to black economics being destroyed, and us being able to push forward as a nation or do anything as a people, as Africans who have been lost in America. And the government involvement in that destruction, we have to really start thinking of, as Minister always talking about, going to the root of the problem. We know roots are usually ugly in a plant. So when we really think about how we have been perfectly miseducated, and we go back into slavery where it was illegal for us to read or write. And then just 400 years later, we still have a very high illiterate rate within our people, where there's people who's my age and a little older who can't read. Or you sit down with them, you try to work on something with them, and you see the challenge that they have with it. And we just go back to see that we sometimes feel like the foot of the oppressor is really, really beating down on our necks. That there's something that is just like the fight that we're trying to fight is pointless. That it's like, why are we trying to do this when we just see how the government treats us, how white supremacy is so prevalent in our lives. But then it comes to understanding who our Creator is. And we understand the role of the government in our destruction, but we have to understand the role of God and us getting back to being more God-like, accepting that spirituality and accepting who we are, and knowing and standing on that knowing. Me and Minister was having a conversation, and I was telling him that sometimes I have a fear of felon. And in conversation, I kept on saying that I know when the Creator came to me in a dream and when the ancestors spoke to me, and I seen myself being successful, I seen where we was going. He was like, if you've seen all that, why are you afraid? Why are you afraid of felon? And when we think about the way our mind works and the thoughts and the limitations we put on ourselves, the limitations we let the rest of the world put on us, and from listening to Think and Grow Rich, we have to understand that when we let our conscious mind sometimes overpower our subconscious mind, which has a connection to the infinite intelligence or the God mind, that we block ourselves from so much because we put limitations on ourselves saying that is not possible. And as Minister said just moments ago, that God deals with the impossible. And it might seem impossible for blacks to get off the economic bottom, but it's possible through the Creator. We have to understand that possibility, that if we are to connect ourselves with one another, understanding that we are gods in ourselves. And the more that we connect with each other, the more God-like we become. And understanding that we have to unify ourselves to unify with God. And that is the only way that if we are to fight this economic downpour that is coming upon us, it is to connect back with the Creator and with our people. So when we talk about unity in the black community, we talk about the destruction of black economics, we can easily see that there has been a time where blacks were very profitable. One thing I always mention is a lot of us don't pay attention to connecting two things with Tulsa, Oklahoma being bombed in the Great Depression. We don't make that connection where that was the same time period where America was going through one of its greatest depressions. And whenever black people succeed, it seems like it depresses the rest of the world. It was interesting when you correlate that was the most profitable at the time. We was killing it over there in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the Black Belt, in a lot of different places. But at the exact same time, white America was going through a depression. And they seen that, and we have to understand that they were connected to the Creator. They were connected with each other. They were unified with themselves, even though it was forced unification, but they were unified with themselves, and that power of working together made it seem as if that foot on our neck of the white people, of the Europeans, of the white supremacy was no longer on our neck. So when we tie that back into today, and we talk about the solution per se to black violence, which is that has to be connected when we talk about black on black crime, we understand that it's the reason why most black on black crimes aren't solved. Mm-hmm. And when we really connect the dots to that, as I was having a conversation with my friend, I mentioned that it's so, I personally seen something like this happen. I was just chilling outside with my sisters and we started hearing gunshots. And us being traumatized as people, we tend to not run away from gunshots anymore. We went to go be nosy. And what we seen was police having a shootout with some gang members in the community. When it made it to the news, it didn't say police was in a gunfight with gang members, because some of the gang members got killed. They said it was a gang fight. And I was like, wait, that's interesting. That I blatantly see police shooting gang members, but y'all, it made it to mass media, and yet it was said that it was us killing each other. I personally know situations where in broad daylight, you won't see most black people shoot another black person in broad daylight. We don't do that. We know not to do that, but I lost my uncle at a park in broad daylight where other people seen him get shot, but for some reason, everybody see this man get shot, but still the police can't solve the murder. We have to start connecting that, where they say it's a lot of black on black crime, but a lot of what they call black on crime is still police brutality and police killings. We just don't tie the two things. Me and Minister was having a conversation about pseudo gangs and the pseudo gangs that they put in there. And just want to read from something real quick, that the pseudo gangs that they use in Mau Mau. Particularly in the larger stages of the Kenyan country insurgency campaign used by the special branch of pseudo gangs to infiltrate and then kill or capture roving bands of terrorists provide particularly effective. So when they was destroying black organizations, back when they were destroying the Panthers, destroying the different gang organizations that started off as positive in our communities, they created pseudo gangs. They sent in special trained FBI agents, specially trained police officers into those same gang communities, and now they're turning them against each other. Now they're killing each other, and we have to understand that with them instituting, and as the government again, the government involvement in the destruction of black economics, that those gangs will create economic communities. They were protecting their communities. They were bringing businesses that was employing the youth, and they have told us that gangs have been a negative thing, but if we really look at the history and what these different gangs did, we can really see that the government involvement, as Minister mentioned, the scribes, the TV, the news media, the Jews that control the media. We know there's 6 media companies and they're owned by the Jews. All 6 of them are owned by different Jewish families. So the Jews who control the media and the things that we see in our communities, they have turned a positive thing to a very negative thing, which is something that we have to realize they have done a lot. Nat Turner ended up tapping into his African ancestors and his African spiritual system. In Haiti, they tapped into their African spiritual system, and they was able to lead a revolt. But they turned our African spiritual systems into a negative thing. Well, if you go into a black church and you mention anything to do with summoning the ancestors or show anything to do with what they would call black magic, but just using earth, that's a negative thing now. So something that this government does, and it goes back into building black economics, we have to be able to understand that our African spiritual systems is what kept us connected to God. Minister talks so much about nature and nature and how in nature is just energy in nature. And when we really look at what God is, then what it is to some of us is that energy, as that presence inside of us. And we have to realize that same energy is in us, it's in the plants, it's in the birds, it's in the trees, it's in the bees, it's in the ants. And that same energy that they have gotten us to get away from. That they want us to look outside of ourselves. They don't want us to look in the trees. They want us to look in the sky for this energy to be inside of this inside of us. They want us to look outside for it. That's what a lot of these religions have done. They have pulled us away. Man-made religions have pulled us away from the Creator, which is why the government involvement, they separated religion from church, but that was a funny ploy to me if this American government was built on politics. They really didn't take religion. They just gave us white supremacy as the religion instead. They didn't separate religion from church. They just gave you a new religion and called it white supremacy. And we understand that the government involvement in our destruction, and then what we have to do now, there's a big political move happening. And I'm a part of a few of these groups where the millennials, and then not even just millennials, young people, elders, we're all talking about getting into politics. And we want to play the politic game. And a friend of mine had a conversation with me because I said, well, I didn't see myself really being involved in this because a few of them came to me to be a part of the forefront of it. But I said, I don't play the politics game. She said, but you mentioned wanting to create a pseudo government. I said, yes, governments play politics. I want to play a different game. I don't want to play in their politics. I want my own game. You understand? We talk about the game of Monopoly and understanding that game and playing that game. We talk about the game of chess and understanding that game and playing that game. We talk about checkers. Well, there's many games. I want to create my own game. The Uno was one of the majority. Everybody played Uno. Everybody got a deck of Uno cards in their house. I don't want a deck of Uno no more. I don't want to play that game no more. So I created my own card game. You understand what I'm saying? So I didn't want to play the politics games. And I don't understand that we as a people shouldn't play in the politics game. If we refer back to something Dr. Clark Anderson said at the beginning of his book, his new book, I sent my book bag too far away for me to go get it. He said that there was a social construct, as long as we are Americans, there's a social construct that says that blacks will always be property. And I keep saying that every time I'm on the podium because I really want us to understand that they didn't amend that out of the Constitution. That was never amended out of the Constitution, that we are property. Now they ended slavery, one of the amendments ended slavery. Yeah, that's cool, we went no longer slaves, but we're still property. They gave us the right to vote, but that still didn't take away the fact that we were property. That never was amended out of the Constitution, and as long as we ourselves keep connected to such system as the American government, which has sold themselves, and they're just a corporation, and they turned us all into property besides just black people, where every citizen of America is now property of the American government. We have to understand that form of government does not benefit our people. And if God is not sitting at the table when they are creating a government, it's not beneficial for us. It is not righteous. Minister talks so much about come out of her. We talk in the temple about coming out of her. And what does that mean? We come out of their unjust system. Come out of their educational systems that are not properly educating us. I was having a conversation with a sister, and she asked me, I don't want to send my kids to the public school system again because I see what it's doing to them, but they don't see it. I posed a question to her. I said, is it their job to truly tell the children who they are? Is it your job? Is it our job as the people in the community that they come home to? Yes, we understand that I personally understand that we have to live a duality now. This is something that came in my head as Minister talked about 11 and duality, and with Trump being in office and him wanting us to really look at 11, and we talk about through 11 and really studying what that really looks like. One thing that I really took from it personally is when we live in duality, one side of it, we are oppressed people, right? And we let the white man think we're still suffering and we're still oppressed, but on the other side of it, we know what we really do. You know, we really build and we're starting economic bases, we're working hard to do certain things, but to them it seems like we're still oppressed. You know, that's the duality that I seen as they talk about you have to be the physical and the spiritual. And that's a lot of people when they see duality. Well, you're a spiritual being and you're an earthly being. Well, I'm an American and I'm a black American at the exact same time. There's Chicago, but then I'm in black Chicago from time to time. I understand that is a duality that I personally accepted. Well, there seems to be a big foot on our neck, again, that I mentioned earlier, that it just seems like we can't, but the more we connect ourselves with the Creator and understand that our God is stronger than their gun. Right? He's stronger than their gun. A lot of people talk about, well, we can't go to war with them. We don't have to go to war with them. God can go to war for us. And understanding that power and what that really looks like, and understanding, I was listening to something from my brother Londrell and talk about the joining God. We put a lot of things in front of God. We say, well, I don't got time for God because I got to pay my bills. Or I ain't got time for God because such and such and this and that. And well, what about this? Or I got to do this, so I ain't got time for God. And when we have to come to that understanding that God, we have to be constantly giving reverence and chasing after God as much as we chase after the greatest thing we love in the world. But the greatest thing we should love in the world is God. It is our Creator. It is the creative source that blesses us to be here, because if it didn't exist, would we exist? We sometimes forget who created us. What gave us the power to be here. We have this white man telling us we are less than something, but something created him. We've given reverence to that race as the master race for a very long time. We might not blatantly say it, but when we see certain images, or we go certain places, or we spend money in certain places, we give reverence to that white man as being our master. But we we subconsciously don't see it anymore. We subconsciously don't know it. We consciously do things that we don't understand affect our subconscious minds. And I know I'm trying to keep in the time frame that I have, and I definitely want Scribe to come up here and definitely share a piece with us today. But I think I should share something that was definitely on my spirit from yesterday. We talk so much about the dollar leaving the black community, but a lot of people don't truly understand what the dollar circulating really looks like, or how are they not really buying black, and they think they buying black because they know when they go to the store, it's a black person in the store. They know when they go to the restaurant, Kiki is working at the register, and Kiki is getting paid from that place. So how am I not circulating the black dollar? That's an argument that they can make, but I am circulating the black dollar. But no, I'm sorry. When you go in your house, what's the toothbrush that you brush your teeth with? Did that come from a black person? And what about the toilet paper in your crib? Is that coming from a black person? The deodorant, the mouthwash, your laundry detergent, your clothes, are they coming from black people? You not from a store that your cousin work at and he got a 20% discount off at. Not from the grocery store that you get 10% discount off at, and you think that he get a check from them and it's circulating the dollar. We have to understand that that's not circulating anything. That we are not benefiting from that in no way. Them getting a job is not circulating anything, especially if they going to work for one of them. Because we talk about network marketing, we talk about pyramid schemes, we talk about MLMs, but then don't connect the fact that every major business is a network marketing company, where the people at the top of the company, the CEO, the CFO, the COO, are making millions of dollars a year, where the people actually working the business is making maybe $12 an hour. You get what I'm saying? But we don't tie those two things together, where you have your Targets, your Walmart, your Whole Foods, your all of them. Your all of them. Every of them. You know what I'm saying? Even to the liquor stores, all of them. We have to understand that we think we understand black economics. We think we understand buying black. As a people, we think we understand unity. But again, are we unifying our Creator? We call it many names. In the temple, we say a lot of the names that the majority of our people are called into. Understanding that the oneness in it. Do we really understand the oneness of the Creator? Or are we putting limitations on Him like we put on ourselves? Are we limiting God now? Are we truly limiting God like we limit ourselves? Are we making God human? Because when we put limitations on God, or we give a name to it, we're making it human. And we don't understand that we're doing that. And if we separate ourselves from it and truly separate ourselves from that, the benefit and the oneness when we look at the Creator, what that really does for us. If only the Hebrew brother who argues with the Kemetic brother understood that whatever you call God, He made both of y'all be able to breathe. What if He stopped breathing into you? What would happen then? What if you, just one day, God decided, they don't want to unite, I'm just going to make them all stupid. Just made us dumb. Now we just walk around as zombies. As the masses, some of us got knowledge, some of us are part of the 13% who know, who think, but what if we no longer knew? What if the masses of people we walk past every day, our brothers and sisters who just don't know, who get caught in the streets, didn't have the access to education that we may have, didn't have the opportunities that we potentially have to be where we are today, was able to go to that certain school, wasn't acknowledged, and it was hard for me because it was a wake-up call for me, to the conversation I had with the brother the other day. Because I personally realized that I got so far away from understanding, because from a very young age, I remember I was in second grade, and my second grade teacher came to my mother and told her that I don't belong in that school. And it was a public school in Roseland, and she said, no, he doesn't belong here. This school is not for him. And I remember my friends, and I was teaching them in class, and it dawned on me what she was saying, that I didn't belong there. So then when I went to another school, all of us was a little smarter than everybody else from the schools that we all came from. And it was a different breed. And I ran into my third to sixth grade best friend just the other day. And to see, man, we went through life a lot differently than some of the same people that lived on the same block as us. Right? I look at some of my friends from the block compared to some of my friends I went to school with. It's totally different. So in closing, so I can bring up Scribe, we have to come out of it. We're talking about what truly we have to do. We have to pull our resources. We have to sustain black businesses in order to stop the killing and start the building. Poverty begets violence. If our people don't have access to true resources, what else are they're going to do? They're going to fight each other. If they're in a controlled area, if you don't have access to it, it's going to beget the violence. We have to start building the kingdom of our Creator on earth and helping us build the kingdom of heaven on earth. We have to own our own land. We have to own our own media, our own channel of distribution, our own products, our own entertainment, our own full-service food co-op supermarket, our own security, our own schools, our own banks, our own hospitals, and our own clinics. I just read a verse from Revelation 3:20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come to him and support with him, and he with me. We gotta let the Creator back in. And in that, I leave you as I greeted you in ancient words of peace as Hotep, Shalom, Assalamu Alaikum, Habaragani, Alafia, and Ashe. And let me now bring to you guys a great friend of mine who, over these last few months that I've known him, just his poems, his words, his way of thinking, and just been really impressive how fast this man comes up with beautifully put spoken word pieces that I have seen him deliver to some groups of people, and their whole minds be changed. So let me bring him to Facebook land and to the temple again. Soliloquy, the Scribe.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
As Tarek said, I'm Soliloquy the Scribe. That was a definitely impactful speech, especially for the piece that I had prepared. And like I said before, the spoken word is something that you have to take in auditorily. So you can listen, but you must also understand and you must also feel it. I have a riddle for you today. But before that riddle, I would like to talk about some things that Tahari and actually the minister touched on. Our people have done so many great things that you may think as impossible, even at times. And that's where we get these comparisons of, gods, kings, queens, people of great power. But why? Because we have continually done the impossible. And we get reminded all the time, I know in the Bible, God gives us a reminder of His power, and it's something that I thought about, just somebody who's vision impaired, of a rainbow. A rainbow is literally a wave of all the 7 primary colors. And in the scientific world, many scientists have argued whether light was a particle or a wave. And there God shows you both. If you even think about a wave in the water, it's an optical illusion. The water is not moving vertically, it's not moving horizontally, rather, it's moving vertically. And so it seems as though the wave is moving, and so in order for a wave to be possible, it has to be moving. A sound wave is not a wave, it cannot be perceived by the ear if it doesn't move. So we all know now that waves move, but there you have a rainbow is a wave, but it is static. And light is the fastest element in the universe. And there is light in the sky is static, but it's not moving. And then you have millions, billions of people that have been created by two people, but not only that, you have inventions that have been created and ideas, culture, music that have been created. But it was ultimately created by two people. It's impossible to have tons of weight flying in the air, but yet it's not. How can one be black and bright at the same time? It's impossible, but yet it's not. I wondered what color space was in between me and you, in between me and the poles around me, the chairs, the floor, then in between the earth and the sun. And it seems as though space is no color. Yet why is it when you look up at night, it's black? It seems impossible, yet it's not. And so, when we have been told so many things about our downfall and the inevitable of our success, it seems impossible, but yet it's not. Like Taharka touched on, during the times where the country has had its most depressing times, we have flourished. We have created. And so, I have this riddle in the form of a spoken word piece. It's called Emotions. And before I get into this, I have to reiterate the fact that things seem impossible, but they're not. We always hear the phrase, you create your own reality, but in reality it's true. The light that you see, the sounds that you hear, the world around you, it seems as though it's outside. But the light is transmitted through the eye, and then the electrical signals is transmitted and translated in the brain as a vision. The sound comes through our ears and is translated into sound in our brains, in our heads. So the world around us is actually inside us. And it seems impossible, yet it's not. So here is the riddle of emotions. Lonely people are dangerous. They don't care what they gave to us. Some people are made of emotions. Some are made of angel dust. Angry people are self-resolved. Nothing is ever perfect outside their walls. Some people react with emotions. Some react with the cannonball. God poured his tears into a glass and placed it in our hands. You can drink, or if you wish, pass it to another man. If you drink, you will feel the hurt, but if you don't, you'll die of thirst. Fearful people like to control. It is an illusionary power. Some people feel their final emotion and some see their final hour. Hateful people are oblivious that love is truly limitless. Some people are emotional, but some people are venomous. The longer you hold your glass, the more your arm will burn. The more pain you decide to pass, the less you actually learn. The longer you hold your glass, the more your arm will burn. The more pain you choose to pass, the less you will actually learn. drink the pain I give to you, or you'll die of thirst. If you want to play the game, then this is how it works. We ventured to the flame. The Creator does not lose. Burning or blinding, which will you choose? Thank you.
One more time for the scribe, y'all. One more time for Brother T. I'm known as the interpreter. And the reason I call myself that, I notice that I interpret things that are revealed to me. And our faith in this movement and our faith in what we're dealing with has to be interpreted. You can leave that on for now until 2 o'clock. We're taking it to 2 o'clock this time. And I believe that if we're living in Revelation right now, then there's no more need for a prophet. Prophets prophesied on things to come. And if this day and time is known as the last days, ain't nothing else coming. And so in order now to know what's going down, is someone need to interpret where we are in these last days. Because it's already been revealed in the holy books of this time to come. And so now that we are in the last days, someone needs to interpret for our brothers and sisters, where am I in the midst of this? So I just wanted to share that with you real quick, and in wrapping up what we just heard, I like to equate that to a term that I call ansaf. A lot of us never heard of that term. It's a Jewish term, so to speak, and it comes from a teaching called the Kabbalah. And because I heard scribe basically saying what's possible is impossible, and what's impossible is possible, and what is ain't, and what was is, basically, then what came to me was ansaf. Ansaf, brothers and sisters, is the highest expression known among men for the interpretation of who God is. Meaning all things and no things operating at the same exact time. It's the all or nothing. And the word nothing is no thing. Key word is things, not even a thing, but yet all things operating at the same time. It can become confusing, but God brought it out through the brother scribe. And he didn't sound confused. And sometimes God will bring and reveal through you some things that you walk into your understanding as the day continues. It reveals itself to you. But if you don't press forward, if you don't put it out there in the air, you will never get the fullness of what the expression of it was when it was revealed. Y'all hearing me? Then when you heard Brother Tahaka speaking, and he's sharing with you what God was revealing to him as he spoke to people and as they spoke back to him. See, we decided that we would walk in that neighborhood on that day and talk to the neighbors, being neighborly, hearing the history of that block and how it was called the 6th Ward, and that the term came from that block.
Yes, sir.
See, Or we had the guy there telling us the history of the block. But he was the same guy who at the age of 40-something decided to turn his life around. I won't say his name live because I'm going to have him here one day to share with you his experience and how he came out of it and how now he's working and he owns that house that he's in right now. And it was his parents' house. And he's owning and buying other houses, and how he see our young people coming up now and how he wants to share with them those same things he went through and what it took to come out. So as we go about talking to our brothers and sisters, the level that God, I want to say this. I want to say this to Tahaka and to Brother Scribe, Darren. The level that the Creator, and let's take it a little deeper, and I'm going to close out. So you can, so I want you all who are listening to understand where I'm coming from. You hear us use the term God. You hear us, for the lack of a better understanding of the English language, we'll give God some time agenda. Why did I say we do that? For the lack of understanding of the depthness of the English language. We give him agenda. Him, her. Sometimes we even have some people close out in prayer and say, Mother, Father, God. Now you come into this movement, we don't beat you up because you do that. We say, oh, we understand because we got the understanding that Scribe got. All is and all ain't at the same time. So it don't bother us that you came from your understanding to interpret it, because we know how to make it fit what it is that we understand it to be. But the bigness of this thing is that in this movement we call God the great mind. M-I-N-D. The great mind. We even take it as far as to say the all, which encompasses everything. The all, or the great mind. Now, the great mind takes it away from agenda. The great mind won't allow you to say he, or even it. But we know that this great mind creates. We know that this great mind is creating as we speak. We know that this great mind, because it says that all things that are conceived is conceived first in the what? Mind. So it's the great mind that is receiving this light and then creating through that understanding and created universes, planets, black holes, and other things that we don't even know. And if you go so deep and deep that you go into molecular structure and you go into molecules and cells and whatnot, and then they even got deeper and came up with something called quarks. Then they even got deeper than something. They just constantly going deeper and deeper and deeper. No matter if you go out in space or to the depths of the ocean or to as far as your microscope can go, it's deeper. Gets deeper and deeper. The thing is, can you handle it without going crazy? See? So, this great mind gave us the ability to house a part of his mind.
Yes, it did.
You see, your brain is the ground wire that holds that part that he loaned to you in place. You see, your brain, when you look it up and look at a picture, all of the doctors and scientists pointed to every part of the brain, but they can't point to the mind. So is your mind in there? Oh, Scribe, I know you didn't know I thought like that, did you?
He liked that.
I'm about to do what the preachers do now. I'm about to shout at me. You and me for this.
Turn it to a
But look, I'm gonna close out. But this is what I felt listening to Harker and Scribe. This is me bringing it all the way to, you know, where I felt that it was going. See, when I sit and listen and walk around, I absorb too. But I have to let these people who are listening to us understand the depth of when the creative energy flows through the individual and you're open to receive it. And understand in this movement, I teach now in our evolution that we bow now and we submit our will to do the will of this creative force that we're talking about. But we don't bow and humble ourselves to man or spirits. Did y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
I said we don't bow or humble ourselves to man or spirits. It's two different worlds, ain't it?
Yes.
We only bow and humble ourselves to the creative essence of the flow that some want to call God, but we call it reconnecting with the fullness of the great mind in us. Now when it lets this vehicle go, that part that he loaned you goes back to him.
That's right.
Or it. Or whatever you want to deal with it as. So now, again, brothers, sisters who are under the sound of my voice, if you want to come and be a part of this flow, y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's do this. Come on, y'all. So how can this trips out be just coming back down to earth with them, huh? That's because I ain't got no lines drawn called through something else. Move the line, you just whatever you got to be. See, when I gave that flow, y'all had to give me them snaps. You know, I know why. So, for those who've been listening, and I let us go a little bit beyond our hour, I'm saying, come on, be with us at 12:30 till 1:30. Come and listen to what the Creator says and flows through us, for us, to us, that we might become greater, that we might become better, and whatever we're doing in our lives, that we will become that light, that we will shine that light, that we will reflect that light, that we will allow that light to get us not only off the economic bottom, but to raise our spirituality to become one and connect with that divine creative flow, that when you see, according to what Jesus said, that when you see me, you see the Father. Why? Because me and my Father are one. Just want to leave that with you. And that's where your unity flows, when you understand that you're one. Thank you all for listening. I will leave you as I greeted you all earlier, and as Brother Tahaka greeted you all, in the greeting words of peace, in the languages of our Father, of Hotep,
Hotep.
Shalom,
Shalom alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum,
Alaikum salam, sir.
Barghani,
Alaikum Santaya Barghani.
Lafil,
Alafia Dupoy.
and Ashe.
Ashe.
Peace, peace.
Peace, peace.